Okay, I'm going to kick it off with a quick video just as a little intro here. It's all right. Okay, well, you guys stoked to be here? It's good to be here. That gives you a little insight into kind of the culture we've built. And so little things like that will really kind of, they go a long way in building the culture that you want. And so, again, that should be kind of, shown in a lot of different ways. And so, anyway, we'll get into that. So, again, my name is Dru Dalton. I'm the founder and CEO of RealThread. We're a custom screen print business. We make T-shirts, all right? And so I grew up next door to here in northern Indiana, and came time to go to college, so I was sick of the cold weather, and I figured, hey, I got to move. I might as well go south, right? So I went down to the University of Central Florida, majored in finance and accounting, and from there kind of got introduced to T-shirts. And so it was, humble beginnings. I was kind of needed to work my way through college, right? So figured, hey, might as well work for myself. So I knew nothing about T-shirts. I didn't know how to start a company. And so, I kind of gathered, maybe 10 grand that I had, borrowed 10 grand from my dad, flew to Seattle, and bought some equipment, and they taught me how to use it. I mean, I knew no idea, knew nothing about printing T-shirts until I bought that equipment. So it kind of started just as a way to kind of pay my way through college. I graduate year and a half, 2 years later. And, I first then kind of took a job as a financial analyst at a technology company down in Florida. Quickly learned that wasn't what I wanted to do, being kind of stuck behind a computer. So anyway, I was doing several things. I had literally a failed vending machine business that I, ate my way through my inventory, literally. So don't do that. I was working. I helped kind of get a cupcake business off the ground during that kind of craze. So I did that for a while. But I was doing a number of different things, and it came time that I was just kind of stretched too thin. I said, hey, I need to do one thing and kind of focus, right? So I picked T-shirts. I wanted to focus on T-shirts. Knew I needed to kind of carve out a niche, and so I kind of identified this fashion niche that you probably saw there, where using a kind of special process, you can't feel the ink on the shirts, okay? It soaks in, super soft shirt, incredibly comfortable to wear. So that was kind of the niche that I got started with, and literally in 2009, decided to go full-time with this business, and it started with 2 of us in a garage. We're now 20 employees. We have a new 15,000 square foot building in downtown Orlando that we produce all of our goods in-house. We don't outsource anything, and so yeah, that's kind of the beginning. So I'll show you some of our work really quick just to show you again. Everything's kind of fashion oriented. You can see, from a range of customers, most of this stuff goes to a retail level and is resold. So that was even one from the video that you saw. Just a lot of really fun artwork. We have some incredibly talented designers we work with. And so you can just see kind of the fun aspect. These pictures really embody our culture as well. So anyway, I kind of want to share how we've built our culture, just kind of share that story. So there's kind of 4 principles to this, okay? And I guess it's bigger than 4 principles, but to kind of try to, boil it down to something that we can take away right now, there's really these 4 pieces, I think. So there's what I consider external promoters, there's internal promoters, there's creating value, and then using technology. So I want to kind of touch on those a little bit. So we've heard this earlier, and it's really kind of cool to see some of these things, these themes be reiterated. So we also use MPS, as Andrew talked about, okay? We feel like in this day and age, I mean, we consider the customer king. We heard how the information is kind of shifting from the institutions to the individuals, okay? And that's why we feel like the customer is king right now. They have so much information at their fingertips. We have to optimize for them, okay? A lot of us flew here. 10, 15 years ago, how were we getting flights, We were really blind in terms of the schedules that we had that were available to us, the pricing. I mean, in 2 minutes now, we can jump on, find so much, pricing, schedules, all that for airlines. So there's just so much information at our fingertips now. So we put a ton of emphasis on our NPS score. We've been using the metric for about 2 years, and so along with a high NPS score, we like focusing on the response rate, okay? So you may have a high NPS score, but if your response rate is really low, it's hard to call that indicative of how your customers really feel. I've talked to software companies who make NPS survey. They've kind of shared with me that good response rates is in the 15% range, okay? And so I'm really taken back from that when you hear that not hearing from 85% of your customers is good. I don't know how you can call your response rate really predictive and actual when you're not hearing, 85% of the people don't care enough to respond. So we put a lot of emphasis on our response rate. We've seen response rates of 54%, and so we kind of optimize how to get that response rate up through a number of methods, but a lot of it is the timeliness of your send is what we've kind of done. So, and then follow-up. No one wants to give feedback and then never be heard from. So as much as we want to follow up with our detractors, right, we really want to follow up with our promoters. They're our best salespeople. You kind of heard Andrew talk about it, but they're the people that we really want to empower to talk about our brands. We want them to be just passionate, raving fans of what we're doing. Again, they have so much power. They can make or break you in the course of minutes, as quickly as they can release information, okay? So we want to really empower them and have them be those promoters, be those raving fans, okay? But then same with those detractors. I mean, quick story. I was in New York 2 weeks ago, picked up an early Uber going to JFK to go to San Francisco, and my driver couldn't find me. It was raining. I had to walk 4 blocks to find him. My first kind of poor Uber experience. Well, after each ride, right, they kind of ask you to rate rate your driver. So I gave him 3 stars, okay? So I get off my flight 6 hours later in San Fran, and I have a response on this Saturday morning, 9 a.m. in San Fran. I have a response from Uber saying, hey, we're so sorry, this wasn't what you were expecting. Here's a $10 credit, just for your next ride. So it's things like that that really go a long way in terms of, pulling me back to be that promoter that they were used to me being, that 5-star rating that they like seeing from me. So those are kind of, 3 elements of our external promoters, our customers, right? The next big one, which we just heard a little bit about, is our internal promoters, okay? Those are our employees. This is a huge, huge piece to creating external employees, or external promoters, right? Our internal promoters, our employees, are the ones that, they really are the ones at that information source, okay? That are able to empower our customers, okay? So we really want to focus on our employees, all right? We do that with what we call the eNPS. It's your employee net promoter score, okay? And so that's a really easy way just to kind of, get feedback. How are you doing? And engage yourself over time. Really easy way, too, is Gallup. We kind of heard about Gallup earlier. they're Q12, okay? So they have 12 questions that if you get these questions right, I mean, it's hard to have a bad culture when you get these questions right, okay? I just threw them up there. Again, you can easily find it online, Gallup's Q12. But there's a lot behind these 12 questions, okay? To really unpack these would take a long time. But if you can get these right, they're just good for managers to kind of go through every so often and see, hey, just a little bit of a heart check. How am I doing here, Is someone, encouraging me in my development? We kind of heard about that. So these are really good. These are just good ways to kind of see how are we doing as an organization. And as a manager, as a leader, hey, this is a guidepost, I would call them. So anyway, Gallup has some great resources to get those employees from the actively disengaged into the engaged category, okay? And that's where you have your internal promoters. That's where you want to get your staff to. So something else, we've heard a lot about this, and this is really a big piece, is creating value. Not many of us are in the business of competing on price, okay? A lot of times we think we are, and a lot of times our salespeople want to, but that's really not where we want to be competing. We don't want to compete on price. We want to be creating value, okay? So quick example, right? You have Zappos. We just heard about Zappos, and Amazon. These are two identical sandals. One selling at $60, one selling at $38, right? I mean, quick search online, gets you these two comparisons, right? But what is Zappos focused on? They're very service focused, okay? Whereas Amazon's more price focused. Zappos is telling you, hey, we have live chat available. Here's our phone number. You have free returns for 365 days, which is crazy, but that's how they have created their culture, right? Amazon is, they mention, hey, it's also available at a lower price if you don't care about Prime shipping, and they're also focusing on free returns. But these two organizations, just very different elements that they're going after, One is very service focused, one is price focused. So most of us want to be like the Zappos, okay? We want to focus on delivering value, not just the lowest price, okay? Think about Walmart, right? What did Walmart just release? Anyone know about their app that they just released? It's called the Price Checker or something like that, right? Up to 7 days after you leave Walmart, you can take the app, scan your receipt, and if Walmart finds a cheaper price up to 7 days after you make your purchase, they will give you the lower price at any competitor, right? They will give you the difference of what you paid at Walmart compared to what the competitor was selling it for. They'll give you that difference on a gift card, okay? So they are just totally low price focused, right? That's how they built their business. But not many of us want to compete at that level. So we need to focus on delivering value, not delivering the lowest price. So one thing that's kind of helpful that we kind of go through is in terms of just this question: how could you raise your price? What could you do in your business that would let you raise your price? Okay, and so it puts you maybe in a little different mindset where you can focus on delivering value, or how can we create value, right? So let's think back to what Andrew was talking about. What did they do? They created a splash pad. What was that splash pad doing? It was creating value. That's all it was doing. The tiki bar, right? They were creating value outside of, the baseball game, okay, or through the baseball game. So those are the kinds of things that we have to think about in our organizations, and that we put a lot of emphasis on, is how can we continue to create value for our customers, okay? So just that question, what could we do to raise? I'm not saying you should raise your prices, but just putting yourself in the place where you ask yourself that question: what could we do to add value to our offering that would let us justify a price increase, okay? It's just a really good exercise that we've kind of gone through, and that's helped us uncover areas where we can stop competing on price and focus on delivering value. And so I mentioned that just because as our staffs, as the employees kind of are working through their days, we want them to continue to be inspired to create value, to be innovative. I mean, through creating value, that's where innovation happens, you know? We innovate to add value. So that's just, it's a really good exercise for our staffs to go through. So we found a lot of benefit in doing that. So let's see, technology, okay? We've heard about technology. We know it's in our hands, right? More connected devices than ever. And so the way we kind of look at technology, we're not a technology company. Most of us here aren't technology companies. We're distributors. But how can we use technology as a lever to leverage what we're already doing? That's the way that we've kind of looked at technology. And you can kind of look at customer technology and then employee technology, okay? So from customer technology and employee technology, like one example of employee technology in terms of engaging our employees, how can we make their jobs easier through the use of technology? That's one thing that we really, really focus on is how can we automate the routine tasks that they're doing? A year ago, our account executives, we kind of call them, they're the ones working with customers on a day-to-day basis. They were going through, or they were on a daily basis, they were using 5 software pieces, okay? They were using Google Apps, they were using FileMaker, Salesforce, what else were they in? Basecamp, and Authorize.net, processing credit cards. So through about a year build out, we built our own platform, right? And we were able to reduce the software pieces they were working in down to just 2, okay? And the productivity gains that they got from doing that, they're now processing twice the work they were a year ago, okay, with the same staff. So imagine your salespeople. I mean, how much would your salespeople love to get twice the work done with the same amount of time? I mean, they would be ecstatic, okay? And you're going to turn them into internal promoters by doing that. They're going to love working there. And so we just kind of look at technology as a lever to leverage what we're already doing. So we also kind of look at when's our next release. No, we're not a software company, but we do kind of look at ourselves sometimes as a software company saying, okay, we're used to software companies coming out with releases every so often, you know, fixing bugs, whatnot. We try to get 2 major releases in a year, okay? And so it may be employee technology, it may be customer technology, but continuing to release like major upgrades, we just try to get 2 of them in a year. And you know, throughout the process, there's always bug fixes and whatnot throughout those major releases. But that's our kind of internal goal. We just try to get 2 major releases out a year. So yeah, that's kind of how we use technology and how we've seen success in terms of the millennials love technology. I mean, they just do. And so we just try to infuse technology to really engage those millennials. So let's see. So kind of to wrap it up, we need to appreciate this customer revolution. Like we said earlier, customers have so much data at their fingertips, so much power at their fingertips. We have to appreciate that. They can do so much for us in terms of, like I said, being our best salespeople. We need to appreciate that. It can be scary at times, but if we understand the power that they have and how it's a time like we've never seen before, being able to put together viral campaigns, it's really, really exciting. And so we need to appreciate that customer revolution and try to leverage that. So we need a technology champion on our teams. If it's not you, then you need to get someone on your team, and you have to understand they're going to be entrusted with a big budget. IT spend is not going down, it's only getting bigger. So when you find that technology champion and bring them onto your team, you really have to trust them with a big budget. And you have to empower them, and you have to expect big things out of them. To, as the business leader, you need to be paving the way, talking to your customers, asking them what they want. That's one question that came up. Someone I think asked Andrew again, where did these big ideas come from? Were they you or were they your team? Honestly, a lot of them should come from your customers. It's really easy just to ask your customers, what do you want that we're not delivering? And you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room to ask them that question. It's really easy. Ask them and listen, okay? It's really all it takes to uncover some amazing ideas. And then, rely on that technology champion within your company to really deliver those results, okay? And then lastly, delight the internal promoter. Your customer or your employee is the one that fuels all of this, They're the ones, it's all about people, we heard that. And so everything that you can do to delight that internal promoter, we can't control their attitudes, we can't control their results necessarily, but we can control the environment that they're in. We can control how empowered they feel. And so really just focus on that internal promoter. At the end of the day, it all comes down to people. And so I just really encourage you to just, pour into those people around you. So really, I'm excited. It's a great time to be an entrepreneur, great time to lead a business. And so I just really encourage you, go transform your organizations. I look forward to hearing what you guys take away from this and come back in a year. So I just encourage you, go make it happen and lead this customer revolution. All right? Thank you.